Hello YouTube, welcome back to Operation Laythe, episode 19. I am Southern Wolverine coming to you from the wonderful nighttime Kerbal Space Center here. And you may recall that we were beginning in the previous episode to build up our mission to Dres, which is going to be our next, interplanetary mission that we're going to run here. And we previously launched this vehicle into orbit, which is, about half fueled. So we're going to have to run some refueling missions, and we're going to have to bring our lander up, and that is the goal for this episode, is to go and bring the lander up. And I was also going to think about attaching some extra RCS, not RCS, but, the reaction control, not the thrusters, but the reaction wheels to this to give this a little bit better control. I may not do that. I'm still kind of thinking about that. But if I do that, I'll do that on the refueler. And I think for now, I'm going to go ahead and start by just bringing up a lander. And I think that I randomly, fortuitously picked a mission to Dres, which is essentially an overly large asteroid. At a rather fortunate time, because just within the last 24 or 48 hours, depending on when I get around to actually posting this, there was a significant announcement that a new asteroid, well, it's a known asteroid, they've known for a while that it was there, but they've been observing it, and it has recently been discovered that it actually has rings. Rings much like Saturn or Jupiter, any of those gas giants. And this is actually a quite interesting discovery. I can't think of what the name of it was. Some unpronounceable thing. At least unpronounceable by me. So I'm going to go ahead and build the launch vehicle for this while I'm talking. And this was interesting because they previously had been believed that, the planet had to be a certain size in order to maintain a ring system, as the only planets and bodies that's previously been observed on are things like gas giants. And this new asteroid is, only something like 155 miles in diameter, and it somehow is maintaining two rings. One's 4 miles across, the other's 2 miles across. Of course, the whole ring system, ring, asteroid, and everything is tiny compared to the gas giant systems. The whole thing would fit into one of the gaps in Saturn's rings, but still very interesting and significant nonetheless. So it's possible they're gonna study this and try to understand the mechanisms. Let's go ahead and put Amber Kerman into the capsule. We'll send him up to meet, oh, I forget who the other guy is we've got up there. But in any case, we're going to send him up there to meet his new buddy, who he's going to spend the next couple of years with, probably, cramped into a fairly small space. But it's interesting because the mechanism by which rings systems are stable is not terribly well understood. So it's believed that, for gas giants, Saturn and Jupiter, for example, that their numerous moons help hold the rings in a stable configuration instead of, solar radiation, solar wind, other things, just throwing them off into space, and eventually over time they would dissipate and no longer, have anything to do with being a ring system. Oh, looks like our stages are all messed up. Better go back and fix that bad boy. So absorbed by talking about this that I'm totally forgetting to do my job as a Kerbal Space Program engineer. Okay. Let's see. So those, what are these doing here? See, these Separatrons should be with this guy. Yeah, let's just go ahead and group them. So in any case, they're hoping they can study this new asteroid and discover you know, the mechanism that helps maintain a ring system. It's either this is a young ring system, and which is why it has not become scattered and dissipated yet, or it could be that the mechanism for stable ring systems is simply not understood. So it's a very interesting situation. And of course, the only way they could really observe this is it's so far out. It's some, I think it's between, I can't remember if it said between Jupiter and Saturn, or if it's beyond Saturn. I want to say it's probably beyond Saturn. So it'd be between Saturn and Uranus or something like that. It's so far out that the only way they were able to observe that it had rings was by watching it as it passed in front of a star, by occlusion, I think it is they call it, where you basically see its shadow as it temporarily blocks out the star or whatever it is that it's passing in front of. And they noticed that as they were observing it briefly before and after at regular intervals, you had a similar occlusion happening, and they were thus able to conclude and determine exactly the size and the orbit of the rings around this little asteroid. A pretty interesting little discovery. Unfortunately, we have no such thing to go study around Dres, but we're going to go out there anyhow and land on the closest thing that the Kerbal system has to an asteroid. Alright, so I think this is all straightened out. Amber's eager for the launch. He seems, well, perhaps not eager, but certainly calm. He's ready to go. And we're going to go ahead and just launch this in the dark. We might, let's go ahead and set the Dres to transfer engine as the target. We might get lucky and might have a dawn launch by the time we're in position here. Alright, now that this is now in a high enough orbit, since I put it up over 100 kilometers, that I'm comfortable letting it get essentially ahead of me as I launch, and I will go ahead and catch up to it by dropping into a lower orbit. And even without the boosters, this payload is light enough that I feel like we should have plenty of fuel to get this up without having the solid rocket boosters like I've had on most of my other launch vehicles. So, okay, now Amber's looking a little bit nervous. Maybe he's more of the Bill school of spaceflight than the Jebediah Kerman school of spaceflight. Oh, calm down, buddy. You're fine. He's not freaking. He's just a little nervous. Poor guy. Well, it is his first spaceflight, and he's going quite a long way. Although, shh, we didn't actually tell him that yet. He doesn't know he's going to Dres. He doesn't know he's in a lander. So he's obviously going someplace where you can land. Alright, watching the stages. There we go. Bye-bye, stages. We are done with the... Is that our target there? No, that can't be it. Oh no, maybe it is. Maybe it is, because that's about right, based on our orientation. No, that's nice. It's going right over the top of us. So that I might have waited a little bit longer than I could have. It's going to be quite far out in front of us. But once I'm in a nice low orbit, I can go ahead and just fast forward through a couple of orbits if I have to and catch up to it. It's one of those things I've never quite gotten a good feel for, and it's hard. You can't, at least in the state of the game now, in version 0.23, you can't like pre-calculate your launch trajectories. And which makes it kind of a, you know, a judgment call. It's kind of touch and feel, trying to launch directly to a rendezvous. And like I said, I intentionally erred a little bit on the late side, knowing that I could catch up. And I erred perhaps a little bit too much to the late side. But so be it. That's just something we're going to have to live with at this point. We're going to start our gravity turn. We're going to pause the gravity turn long enough to eject these stages. Once they're clear, we can go ahead and complete that turn. Down to 45 degrees. Whoa! Whoa, a little bit too much, a little bit too much. Alright, come back to the 90. Come back to the, there we go. Alright, so let's check on how we're doing. We got Our inclination's a little bit off, but that's actually a reason where doing an extra orbit or two before we catch up might not be a bad idea. These are quick orbits, you know, it's probably only something like half an hour or something like that to an orbit. And having an extra orbit will give us a chance to correct any slight, you know, inclination differences we have to our target with a quick burn, and thus give us a better encounter. So it's not all bad that we're not going to be able to burn directly at the target. In fact, if you want, there's a challenge to set for yourself to try to launch directly to an intercept. It's a tricky thing to do. You know, you can wait late and sort of launch extra high so that you get up quickly and kind of cross in front and catch up to it, or you can launch early and take a nice shallow conservative trajectory into orbit and sort of let the target catch up to you. But in either case, they're both very tricky. You have to time it. You have to be a little bit lucky. You have to do get a lot of good experience on it. And like I said, just a tough thing to do. But if you can do it, more power to you. I've seen a few people do it in YouTube videos. Scott Manley, for one, has done it that I saw. And there's, it was one of those online challenges that was issued some time back. So a number of people have tried and succeeded in doing it. I am not going to do such a thing. I probably could if you set up something in a nice stable 100-kilometer orbit or something like that and practiced at it a bunch. You could probably get pretty good at hitting that in a single shot. But it's also going to vary based on your launch vehicle. So if you have a nice light payload and a powerful launch vehicle, you can launch it very aggressively and get up quite quickly into orbit. On the other hand, if you have a heavier payload or a slightly more, low-key rocket that's maybe a little bit more efficient but less powerful, it's going to take you longer. So it's, like I said, it's just one of those things that's going to depend on the target's orbit and is also going to depend on what kind of launch vehicle and payload you've got. So there's a lot of variables, just difficult to set up without a lot of trial and error or just flat dumb luck. Alright, so I'm going to aim for just shy of 80, about like that. Boost this up and set up while I'm getting up to my apoapsis, I'm going to go ahead and set up my my orbital insertion burn and get us. One thing I would like to see in another version is just a little like toggle on and off display on the side, sort of like this, that could just drop down here or come up from the bottom or something like that. That would have, without having to mouse over it, your current apoapsis and periapsis and also your current projected post-maneuver apoapsis and periapsis. That'd be kind of nice to know without having to keep fiddling with it, keep mousing over. And even though you can double click on these now to get them to pop up, I don't think you can let me see if I can do it now. Oh, actually that does seem to work. But unfortunately now I'm not centered on the vehicle anymore. I'm centered on the projected apoapsis. No, I've clicked on the Kerbal. Yeah, I can't make that persistent, unfortunately. So just one of those kind of little things I'd like to see added. And of course, like everyone wants, we want to see more parts. We want to see more engines. We want all kinds of... big jet engines might be kind of nice too, because I'd like to fly something like the size of a space shuttle as a horizontal lift. That would be kind of cool. But very tough to do with the current parts because you only have small jet engines, which means you need an awful lot of them to try to lift a large vehicle off in a horizontal fashion and bring it all the way to orbit. So it's not a problem carrying the fuel, it's just a problem mounting all the engines on it. So I've seen some talk going around about the next version of the game, but not a whole lot definitive just yet. I guess we'll find out when it comes out. And if it does, while I'm still working on Operation Laythe, I will probably end up migrating this game over, unless there are concerns that it might not transfer everything cleanly, in which case I'll just stay in version 0.23 for as long as I can. Alright, so we've gone into orbit now. And we only have, we got ascending node of 0.8 degrees, which actually isn't that bad. We could compensate for that on orbit if we wanted to, which I think I will actually try to do. Okay, so then our closest encounter here is about 3 kilometers, which is in part due to this inclination. So what I'm going to try to do is, that's an ascending node. So even though I'm not burning right at the node, I'm going to try to improve that a little bit by burning that way, and I should be able to improve this somewhat. Actually, I made it worse. How the hell is that possible? Oh man, come on. Yeah, look pretty well lined up there. Yeah, well, in any case, that's 4 kilometers, should be plenty close. So actually, I won't even have to do a full orbit to get an encounter lined up. So this was better than I thought it was initially. I know this is one of the tough things to do, is setting up encounters and docking. So I'm actually going to show the whole thing this time. Normally, I kind of cut away while I'm setting up my encounters, but this time, since I happen to have gotten one on the first orbit, I'm just going to stick with it. Alright, come on, you big fat jerk. Turn around. I really should have started this maneuver earlier. Or not the burn, of course, but I mean the turning part of the maneuver. Just because this thing is taking a while. It's okay, as a quick burn, so as long as I get on target close to the 0 mark, I should be okay. Come on, Amber, you can do it. See, now he's all excited. Maybe he's more... yeah, he's more of a Bill kind of character. He enjoys being in orbit, he just doesn't like getting there so much. He's not like Jeb, who's screaming and enjoy the whole way, but he's not quite like Bill, being nervous, or he's certainly not like Bob, freaking out the entire time. Which is good. No offense to Bob. I like Bob. I'm sympathetic to his screamings, because I can picture myself sitting in the cockpit of one of the capsule, one of these things, just screaming my head off as the engines are going. There's a lot to be worried about when that sort of thing's happening. But that's not the kind of thing we want from a person we're sending on a what's probably going to be a year or two long mission to another world. We want our Kerbonauts nice and calm. Now we'll give Bill another chance, or Bob another chance rather, to go on one of these interplanetary missions. But we'll make sure he goes along with somebody else to be the captain of the expedition. Bob's a good pilot, but we don't want him in charge. For the obvious reasons. He'd panic and everyone would die. Alright. But he does like to go to other planets and collect his space rocks. So we'll give him another chance. Maybe we'll even appoint him to the Laythe mission. That might be something worthy of one of the heroes of the Kerbal space program. Okay. So let's just get this lined up. See if we can't see where our target is. I think it's probably behind us somewhere. It might be somewhat above or below us too. Alright, so we're pretty much at the closest encounter. Oh, there it is. It is above us. Alright, so let's kill off some of our relative velocity. And then what I'll probably do is I'll give myself a little bit of a kick towards the station. And I don't, as much as I would like to transfer this fuel... Ooh, maybe I'll try to get close with this fuel and see if I can dock it with this. But it's going to be like trying to fly with an elephant on your back, trying to dock this whole thing. We'll see. I think since I'm below it, I might have actually lucked out a little bit and be able to approach this thing from below it, which is where the docking point I want to hit is anyway. And that would be fairly ideal, because that would involve very little extra maneuvering with this rather overweight vehicle. But it seems a shame to come up here and waste, you know, all the extra fuel that's in this launch vehicle. Alright, so that pretty much did for the velocity. So we're just going to go ahead, steer towards our target now. And we are close enough that I can just burn right towards it and try to reduce the distance. So that's what I'm gonna do. And this thing is not terribly maneuverable. So actually lighting the engine a little bit makes it easier to maneuver. I don't want to build up too much velocity because I don't want to rely on... I'm not going to be able to turn this around as it's not very maneuverable. I'm not going to be able to turn this around to slow myself down when I get close to the target. So I'm going to end up doing, I think, a lot of fast forwarding here and gradually working my way into the target. Because I also don't want to rely on just a couple tiny little RCS thrusters to slow this whole thing down to the point where I don't obliterate the transfer vehicle and the lander in a fiery conflagration. So I'm going to go ahead, fast forward. See, it's giving us, okay, we're getting quite close based on that, under half a kilometer. So just going to let that drift closer. As long as it stays more or less like this, we actually are in pretty good shape to make a docking attempt on it. Alright, so let's see if I can't... Okay, that's not going to work super well. Come on, baby, you can turn faster than that. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Alright, I'm just trying to see we're actually going up above it a little bit, which is not what I want. Alright, what I want to just do is slow us down. I'm going to walk in on this bad boy. Alright, if we had to, we could dock on one of these top ports too. Transfer the fuel and then undock and just move the lander under RCS down closer. So let's see that. Ooh, that's going to get us nice and close. Alright, let's go ahead and see what that did for us. We'll get a few minutes out. Nope, well, a minute out anyway. Okay, looks like we're going to pass right back underneath it, which is excellent. Or at least kind of drift towards the underneath area. Alright. Cheat a little bit and use time warp to as the ultimate SAS, because you time warp while you're in space and the SAS pretty much freezes you in place. It's kind of a nice tool, a little bit cheaty. But hey, it's in the game, so deal with it. Alright, come on, RCS, you can do it! You can do it! Ooh, I hope you can do it. Got a fair amount of velocity to trying to kill here for the weight of the vehicle. We actually passed it. Come on! Come on! Ooh, come on, baby, you can do it. I know, this is just riveting commentary right now. Alright, we're slowing down though. I'm gonna keep an eye on the... How am I doing on the monopropellant? Ah, I got plenty, And I'll have another mission to come up here and refuel, and I'll be able to put all kinds of RCS fuel on there to restock everything. See, now because all the RCS thrusters up here, you're seeing multiple jets firing in different directions, because these ones are pushing it over, but they're also tending to roll the vehicle this way. So the other ones are firing to attempt to counteract the roll. And there's a lot of, you know, a lot of little adjustments going on there. Ooh, okay, it actually looks like we are moving directly away from our target, which is the last damn thing that I want. Okay, come on. Help me out, RCS. Since I've got it and I'm going to restock it before I go, I'm going to go ahead and use it. Go ahead and use the engines here, because it's going to take forever with just RCS to try to get back. Alright, come on. There we go. Alright. Now we're talking. Alright, so how are we drifting relative to it? I'm going to fast forward just a bit here. It can be hard to get a feel for your orientation of your view relative to your nav balls. That's what's throwing me off at the moment. Alright, let's see. We're moving closer, so let's go ahead and just let it do that. Come back in and leave the SAS on to try and keep this steady. And just try to adjust my velocity vector back towards the target. Damn you. Yeah, this is the RCS are so off center on this relative to the center of mass. I was not expecting to have this much fuel left on this vehicle. I knew I'd have a leftover, but I was not expecting quite this much. Okay, now what I would like to do is kick this. Which way? Down? No, down. Nope, that was making it worse. Nope, nope, that was the opposite of what I wanted. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, okay, settle it down, settle it down. Last thing I want is to jam this giant leftover fuel situation right into my vehicle that I just launched last time. At some level of effort, you may recall. Okay, we're just going to give this a quick shot from the main thrusters. I don't want to use them too close to the rocket due to, you know, destruction of the rocket concerns. Okay, we're drifting relative up, so we're going to go ahead and... Actually, you know what? I got a better idea. I have a better idea. Alright, we're just going to turn this to point at the target, and then we're going to come over to this vehicle. Since it should be actually more maneuverable than this in its current state, and we'll fly that vehicle over to this one. I think that'll end up being easier. We'll get them at least pointed at each other, if I can manage even that much. Okay. Alright, so here we go. This is an alternate docking technique to the north-south pointing method. Okay, so we're going to go like that. We're going to lock it in with the SAS. Now we're going to switch over to this other vehicle. Set that as the target. And I'm actually going to just go ahead and control from here. Yep, there we go. And toggle the RCS on. And we'll just point this over towards the Dres lander, you know, assemblage over there. It's a little bit of a shame to move this since it'll throw the orbit off somewhat, but it shouldn't be a big deal since it's all in close proximity. All right. Okay, alright. It's exciting stuff, isn't it? But this is how you dock. It's all about patience, more than probably anything else. Patience and being methodical. I mean, the last thing you want to do is try to do something too quickly and make a mistake that is going to cause, you know, damage to one or both vehicles that is going to render them unusable and thus cause you to have to launch something new and repeat the whole process over again. So I'm using a little bit of fast forward to try to reorient. Actually, it looks like my orientation is a little bit off. I'm just going to kind of eyeball that in. The lander was sort of drifting as I was trying to get my pointing in for this one, so it got a little bit off. So I'm just going to go ahead and take care of that. And I will try to get this centered all up, slow it down, and get our dock. Alright, come on, Jerwise, whose name I'm embarrassed to have forgotten earlier. You can do it! You can do it, sir. You better be able to do it, or you're fired. Into the sun. That's what we do with Kerbonauts who fail in moments of crisis. We fire them into the sun. We will create a special mission for you and just put you on a giant pile of solid rocket boosters and hurl you into Kerbal, the star. Whoa, 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 I meant to slow down, not speed up. Okay. Whew. Fortunately, there's enough RCS thrusters on here I was able to prevent from ramming into the other vehicle at half a meter per second, which it might be able to survive, but I don't really want to take that chance. Alright, nice and slow, nice and slow. Come on, baby. Oh, nice, we're gonna dock up just as we're going onto the dark side. Awesome. Come on, get there. Come on. What's going on? Is our angles could be a little bit better. There we go. Excellent. Excellent. So there we go. Construction continues on the Dres project. So I will go ahead and transfer this fuel over, and I'll come back to you next time. I might go ahead and do the refueling mission too, since it'll look very much like this mission, except we're going to dock on the other side. So I don't think I need to show you guys that. So I think I'll come back, and in episode 20 we will go ahead and be ready to take our shot at getting our burn to Dres. So once again, thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, please do like the video, comment, and subscribe. I'm Southern Wolverine here in orbit around Kerbal, or Kerbin, with Amber and Jerwise Kerman, wishing you all a good day.